Hi, welcome to Send to Print. A drawer handle seems like a simple part, but designing a good one involves more trade-offs than you might expect. In this video, I'll explore several different handle designs and see what works best for 3D printing. All right, let's dive right in. Let's start with the simplest option, just an opening at the top that you can use as a handle. You see this kind of design all the time. Some IKEA cabinets use it too. There's really not much going on here. I made the opening trapezoidal so you can reach in from above. You could leave the corners square instead, as long as the opening is wide enough for your finger. Or round it off like the IKEA cabinets. The geometry is quite simple, so there are no nasty overhangs, no bridges, and no surprises during printing. It's also really easy to use. The second type is a recessed pull, like the ones you often see on kitchen cabinets or wide drawers. When you have several panels side by side, separate handles can make the whole front look cluttered. A hidden pull keeps everything much cleaner. I modeled a tiny drawer in Fusion but kept the handle at a normal size. Just slide your fingers in here and pull. The mini drawer is just for a quick print test, so the handle looks oversized here. That's because it's meant for a much larger drawer. All right, let's print and see how it turns out. There's nothing complicated about the geometry, so this should be a pretty easy print. Just slide your fingers in here, grab the edge, and pull. The only thing to watch out for is leaving enough room for your fingers. The downside is that it takes up at least 20 millimeters of drawer depth. There's another similar version. Instead of running the handle all the way across, we can keep just a short section in the middle. The side view makes it a little easier to see. The model is built almost the same way. The only differences are the handle's extrusion depth and how the edges are rounded. Turn on section analysis and you can see that the finger opening in the middle is unchanged. From the front, though, the two versions look quite different. I think it's really just a matter of preference. Functionally, they work the same. Here's the third type, the square pull. It's a common design and it feels comfortable. Your fingers catch on the edge when you pull. The modeling is about as simple as it gets, just a few sketches and extrudes. Notice that I didn't just put a big square plate on top of a smaller post. Instead, the whole thing is one continuous T-shape from bottom to top. That gets rid of a lot of unsupported areas and makes the print much more reliable. This part is still a cantilever though, so we've got two options. Add supports or change the angle to 45 degrees. The usual way to fix this would be to create a construction plane, use split body to remove the extra piece, and then join everything back together. It works, but it feels a bit complicated, right? Here's a much quicker way. Let's jump back in the timeline to before the chamfer. Go to the Modify menu and choose Move. Set Move Object to Faces, then select this bottom face. Change Move Type to Rotate. For the axis, select this one right at the base. Rotate the face 45 degrees, and we're done. This overhang should now print without supports. Well, it seems we're not quite done with supports yet. The middle section is fine, but this bottom edge is still floating in midair. There it is, one tiny line with no support underneath. So there's still more work to do if you don't want any supports. Instead of overcomplicating this simple handle, I'll go back to the original design and let the slicer add some supports. The support material is actually pretty reasonable, and it's hidden underneath the handle anyway. It's a compromise you'll probably never notice in the final print. Here's the final print. I decided not to optimize the design any further and simply let the slicer add supports underneath. It's very intuitive. Just grab both sides here. These two wings give your finger something solid to hold and pull. The downside is that it's a bit chunky, but the extra size does make it more comfortable. You might still want to get rid of the supports. If you really hate using supports, I get it. I feel the same way sometimes. So I'll try to get the same result without using supports. I rotate this lower face at 45 degrees first, but that reduces the grip area, so I'll make the handle taller to compensate. There we go. Now there's enough room to get a good grip. Next, go to Modify and choose Chamfer. These are the two edges we want. Let's set the chamfer to 18 millimeters. Now the two wings of the T can also print at 45 degrees without supports. I'll finish it off with a few small chamfers. Now here, you can print it at 45 degrees without supports. And here too. grab both sides and you can pull your drawer out. The downside is that this version needs to be taller than the version with supports. So you might want to use it on taller drawers, but for shallow drawers, a handle that starts from the bottom makes much more sense. Now let's take the classic C-shaped pull and make it printable. It runs into the same problem, a big overhang, so we either need supports or a redesign. We could rotate this face 45 degrees and print it like this, but that looks awful. So let's try a different approach. I'll add a 10mm chamfer to these two edges, one on the inside and one on the outside. Then I'll put this 10mm wide face flat on the build plate and print it this way. Now all the overhangs stay within 45 degrees, so we can skip supports. To give the handle a more finished look, I'll add some small chamfers. As I was getting ready to print, I noticed that there was no major overhang problem, but there was a fairly long bridge here. It can work with the right bridge flow and speed settings, but there's actually a much cleaner way. Instead of using this edge on the build plate, let's try this one. It can print directly without bridging or sagging issues. With this orientation, both sides can be print at 45 degrees and meet right here. Unfortunately, the base came loose from the build plate almost immediately. I think the nozzle was pushing it around and there just wasn't enough contact area to keep it in place. So I added a small support fin on each side. Each support fin has a wide footprint on the build plate, so it should stay firmly in place. There's also 0.2 millimeters of clearance between the support fins and the body. They're not supposed to touch the drawer body, they're only there to stop it from wobbling. This print is more stable than the first one. Well, at least it stays on the build plate this time, but during the print, it starts rocking on the side without a support fin. It keeps moving back and forth with every pass, and the surface looks awful. So we need to stabilize it in both directions, not just side to side, but front to back as well. I don't think we need another pair of fins, a brim should be enough. And it turns out to work just fine. The chamfer is hidden inside the drawer, so the outside still looks clean. The only downside is a little less space in the back corner. You can still see a few marks from the supports if you look closely, but once the drawer is installed, those marks are hidden on the sides and back. I could keep refining the fins, but there's not much point if they're hidden anyway. This C-shaped pull also works in a vertical orientation. Other than the handle orientation, everything else is almost identical. We still need a chamfer on one side so the model has a flat face to sit on the build plate. This time I'm using this edge. With this face flat on the build plate, the handle can rise at 45 degrees without any bridging. Add the two support fins and it's ready to print. This time, don't forget the brim. Here's the final print. This is how you pull the drawer out. One thing all these handle designs have in common is that they work better on taller drawers, where your fingers have enough space to fit. But what if the drawer is only 10 millimeters tall? At that point, a normal handle just won't work. That's exactly why I designed this hidden pull. It was inspired by one of my cabinets, which has a lot of shallow drawers for things like documents and metals. Push this end, grab the tab when it pops out, and pull. To close it, just push the tab back in. I modeled a similar mechanism in Fusion. I'm pressing Shift+N here so we can see the mechanism more clearly. It's made of two parts, the drawer body and this hidden tab. Turn on section analysis and the whole mechanism becomes much easier to see. The drawer body has a 2mm pin here that acts as the axle. Push the tab inward here and it rotates around the pin. The left side swings out, giving you a grip to pull the drawer open. To close it, just gently push the tab back in. Once it hits the rear stop, it's in position and can't rotate any further. Otherwise, the right side would pop out and expose the handle. The idea is simple, but it took me about 9 or 10 tries before I got it working reliably. There are a few details you should keep in mind when designing this mechanism. First, make sure there's enough clearance between the hinge pin and the barrel. These parts are pretty small, so if the clearance is only 0.1 or 0.2 millimeters, they can easily fuse together during printing. Also, the clearance around the tab is just as important. I started with 0.2 millimeters of clearance, but the tab still fused to the body underneath. The first push was really difficult, and it barely moved at all. So I added 2 small sacrificial feet underneath to lift the tab off the body. The bottom layer can now bridge between them instead of sticking directly to the surface below. I also slowed down the bridge speed so the span prints cleanly. The bottom is handled by the sacrificial feet, so make sure the tab has enough clearance on the other sides, left, right, and top. There's one more trick at the back, this opening here. Now you can reach through the opening and push the tab out to get it moving. Before adding that opening, the only way to start the mechanism was to push in on the right side. But the left side was also sitting on the sacrificial feet, so there was no good way to push it to rotate the first time. I won't go into too much detail about this hidden tab here. If you'd like to see a full breakdown of this design, let me know in the comments. Okay, here it is. Give the tab a gentle push, then grab it and pull the drawer open. And that's the mechanism. This works well for very shallow drawers because it gives you something to hold and pull while keeping the front clean and minimal. It may look like overkill, but I actually made it for a specific project. I turned the basement of this psycho house into a drawer, but it was too shallow for a regular handle. That's where this hidden pull came in handy. At first glance, you'd hardly know there was a handle here, but give it a little push and the tab pops out so you can pull the drawer open. I keep the light remote in here because I can never find it when I need it. If your remote also seems to grow legs and wander off, maybe it needs a drawer of its own. Looking back at all these designs, I think my favorite is still the first one. It's simple, straightforward, and just works. If I were designing a much larger drawer, I would probably choose the second one. It keeps the front panel clean and gives the whole design a more minimal look. The 2 C-shaped handles also work well, but I think they are a bit more complicated, both to design and to print if you don't want any extra support. And finally, I really like the hidden pull, especially for shallow drawers. It's definitely the most complex design here, but it looks great while still being practical. In the end, the best handle really depends on the drawer size and what matters most to you: simplicity, appearance, or functionality. Okay, that's all for today. If you found this tutorial helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more 3D printing designs. Let me know in the comments what should I model next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.